Now, what is your favorite bodybuilding rivalry of all time that you've experienced, or maybe your top three?
Ooh, well, the Gaspari-Haney rivalry for Olympias was legendary.
But they
You
were
know,
friends though.
because
They were good friends though.
they were great. They were training partners. But to take second 3 years in a row, that was a tremendous rivalry. I thought the Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman rivalry was phenomenal. Um, uh, what else? What other rivalries were great? Um, I I don't know. I can't. I guess Chris Cormier, with the number of times that he took second, at the Olympia. Lavroni and Yates was a good rivalry. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, there were a few, but unfortunately, the personalities of the bodybuilders were never really developed to the point where the rivalries, had any weight. It wasn't like the WWE where you had, wrestlers that were like breaking into each other's houses and beating each other up with sledgehammers because they were fucking his girlfriend. It was there was no real buildup, to these shows with respect to the rivalries that were being, contrived. They could have done a much better job with the rivalries.
What is your opinion on bodybuilding gurus? They get a lot of criticism from all sorts of different people, right? I mean, Chad Nichols was accused of killing his clients. His accusation, obviously, right? But what do you think about gurus, and should they be responsible, you think, for the health of the athletes that they coach?
Well, I've gurued a little bit myself over the years, and I would have to say, speaking for myself, that the health of the athlete should be the absolute number one, two, and three things that you are the most concerned about, because an unhealthy athlete is not going to make it through contest prep, at least not with me. So you have to have the athlete's health first and foremost in your decision making process when you recommend certain things for him to do. The health is their health is absolutely the most important thing. So yeah, guys who should be real adept at reading blood work, at being very sensitive to signs that something might be wrong, know what their diuretics, effects are going to be on these people before you do a full blast, assault, contest dial in. You should be doing a lot of testing in the off season so parameters and what things work and what works and what doesn't, and how fast and how much of it you need, so that you can get away with doing the most with the least. I mean, there's a lot of things you need to consider, as a guru, with respect to the responsibility you have in your hands with the kinds of things you're recommending this other human being do, and you're potentially putting them into some life-threatening situations, and you better know what you're doing if you're gonna do that.
That seems like a lot of responsibility for you as a guru, right? I mean, that's like I'm assuming it's pretty stressful. I mean, to be in that position.
It's tremendous. There was a female bodybuilder named Joanna Wilson, out from I guess she was in Oregon or Washington State. She hired me. She hired me as to prep her for a show, and we were long distance. I was on the East Coast. She was on the West Coast. After about a month, she asked me. She said that she didn't feel comfortable. It was too long distance. She needed to be more in touch with her coach. Wanted somebody on a more one-on-one basis, and I totally understood that. And she subsequently, I don't know who, or I'm not going to say who she took up with, but the end of the story is that she died at the contest, um, you know, by virtue of the illness that she was, suffering at the time, combined with, her contest prep, and it killed her. So I often think of that situation as the person who was initially responsible for her, only for a month, that if she had stayed with me, would the same thing have happened? And I wrestle with that all the time. Would that death have been on my shoulders today? I like to say no, it wouldn't have been, because I would have done, blah, blah, blah. But I can't say that with 100% certainty. You don't know. It's very easy to play armchair quarterback. So I think, these gurus take into account some very serious work with some very dangerous drugs, and they ply them on people that may have an adverse event, an adverse reaction, and you got to know what to do about it, or they may die. And it happens. We have lost several people over the years.
Is it safe to say that competitive bodybuilding, right, professional competitive bodybuilding, is an extreme sport? And when a death occurs, let's say, it's just a situation that it can happen to anybody, really. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily a fault of those people who are doing it. It's just you taking that decision to be in that sport, right? So you kind of, you should be in some ways okay with that being, that potentially happening to you.
I think it's one of the extremist of the extreme sports for what you actually put your body through, to lead up to contest day, to drive your body fat percentage down that low, and to survive on so few nutrients, be they carbohydrates or protein or fat or whatever. Going into that, the whole sodium water manipulation things, the various drugs that you have to do to facilitate all those things. It's extremely extreme. Few sports in the world require the amount of pharmacology